Hello guys, it is your boy Cooper here, and today I'm going to be reading you something in the Holy Bible. If you're in Judas right now, here I can teach you how to read. Here, right now I am on 13, 14. If you're on 13 and 14, you can read with me. We're going to read from 13 to 16 today. This is fan can stop. Okay, so we're going to read from 13 to 16. So it says here, the Lord said to Moses, "Concentrate to me every firstborn male. The first offspring of every womb among the Israelites belongs to me, whether human or animal." Then Moses said to the people, Hold on. Then Moses said to the people, "Commemorate this day, the day you come out of Egypt, out of this land of slavery, because of the Lord brought you out of it with a mighty hand. Eat nothing containing yeast. Today, in the month of Aviv, you are leaving. When the Lord brings you into the lands of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Hivites, and Jebusites, the land he swore to your ancestors to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, you are to observe this ceremony in this month. For 7 days to eat bread made without yeast, and on the unleavened bread during those 7 days. For 7 days eat bread made without yeast, and on the 7th day hold a festival to the Lord. Eat unleavened bread during those 7 days. Nothing with yeast is to be seen among you, nor shall any yeast be seen on anywhere within your borders. On that day, tell your son, I do this because of what the Lord did for me and when I came out of Egypt. This observance will be for you like a sign on your hand and a reminder of your forehead that this law of the Lord is to be on your lips. For the Lord brought you out of Egypt with his mighty hand. Amen to that. You must keep this. The fan is getting on my nerves, guys. But I'm gonna ignore it. I ain't scared of the fan. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. On that day, tell your son, I do this because the Lord told me. Oh, yes. This observance for you will be a sign on your hand and on your forehead that this law of the Lord has to see on your lips. For the Lord brought you out of Egypt with his mighty hand. You must keep this ordinance at the appointed time year after year. After the Lord brings you into the land of the Canaanites and gives it to you, as he promised on oath to you and your ancestors, you are to give over to the Lord the offspring of every womb. All the firstborn males of your livestock belong to the Lord. Redeem with a lamb every firstborn donkey, but if you do not redeem it, break its neck. Redeem every firstborn among your sons." Okay then, break the neck. Anyways, let's go. Let's keep going, shall we? Alright, here we go. It says here, on chapter 14, "In days to come, when your son asks you, 'What does this mean?' say to him, 'With a mighty hand on the Lord brought us out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery.' I don't know how to pronounce that name, or Paro, I'm calling Paro, stubbornly refused to let us go, the Lord killed the firstborn of both people and animals in Egypt. This is why I sacrifice to the Lord and the first male offspring, every womb, and redeem of each of my firstborn sons. And it will be like a sign on your hand and a symbol on your forehead. But the Lord brought us out of Egypt with his mighty hand, crossing the sea. When Pharaoh lets the people go, God did not lead them on the ground through the Philistine country, though that was shorter. For God said, if they face war, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So God led the people around by the desert road toward the Red Sea. The Israelites went up out of Egypt, ready for battle. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him because Joseph had made the Israelites swear an oath. He said, God, God will surely come to your aid, and then you must carry my bones up with you from this place. After leaving Succoth, they camped at Etham and on the edge of the desert. By day the Lord went ahead of them in a pillar of cloud to guide them on their way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so that they could travel by day or night. Neither the pillar of cloud by day nor the pillar of the fire by night left its place in front of the people. This Exodus 4:13. Alright, let's continue. Then the Lord said to Moses, tell the Israelites to turn back and encamp near Pi Hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea. They are to encamp by the sea, directly opposite Baal-zephon. Pharaoh will think the Israelites are wandering around the land in confusion, hemmed in by the desert, and I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will persuade him. But I will gain glory for myself through Pharaoh and all his army, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. So the Israelites did this. Excellent. When the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds about them and said, what have we done? We have let the Israelites go and have lost their services. So he had this chariot made ready to take his army with him. He took 600 of the best chariots, along with all the other chariots of Egypt, with officers over all of them. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, so that he persuaded the Israelites, who were marching out boldly. Oh my head. The Egyptians, all Pharaoh's horses and chariots, horsemen and troops, persuaded the Israelites and overtook them as they camped by the sea near Pi Hahiroth, opposite Baal-zephon. I'm so tired today, guys. Now, as Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up, and there were the Egyptians marching after them. They were terrified and cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, was it because there was no graves in Egypt and that you brought us to the desert to die? What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Didn't we say to you in Egypt, leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert. Moses answered the people, do not disband. Not a big fan of that. Alright, let's continue. Do not be This fan is getting on my nerves. Do not be afraid. Stand firm and you will see the deliverance of the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians the Egyptians you see today you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Then the Lord said to Moses, why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. Raise your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the water so that the Israelites can go through the sea on dry ground. I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians so that they will go in after them. And I will gain glory through Pharaoh and his army, through his chariots and his horsemen. The Egyptians will know that I am the Lord when I gain glory through Pharaoh, his chariots and his horsemen. Then the angel of God, who had been traveling in front of Israel's army, had been traveling in front of Israel's army, withdrew and went behind them. A pillar of cloud also moved from in front of the stood. Guys, can you guys help me, please? The pillar of cloud also moved from in front and stood behind him, coming between the armies of Egypt and Israel. Throughout the night, the cloud brought darkness to the one side and light to the other side. So neither went the other all night long. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left. The Egyptians pursued them, and Pharaoh's horses and chariots and horsemen followed them into the sea. During the last watch of the night, the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and cloud at the Egyptian army and threw it into confusion. Wow. Tell you the Lord's that powerful. He jammed the wheels of their chariots so that they had difficulty driving. And the Egyptians said, "Let's get away from the Israelites. The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." And then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea so that the waters may float back over the Egyptians and the chariots and horsemen." Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at daybreak the sea went back to its place. The Egyptians were fleeing towards it, and the Lord swept them into the sea. The chair flowed back and covered the chariots and horsemen, the entire army of Pharaoh that had followed the Israelites into the sea. Not one of them survived. But the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left. That day the Lord saved Israel from the hands of Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians lying dead on the shore. And when the Israelites saw the mighty hand of the Lord displayed against the Egyptians, the people feared the Lord and put their trust in him and was in his servant. The songs of Moses and Miriam. Then Moses and the Israelites said, "This is the Lord. I will sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted, both horse and driver as he hurled into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my defense. He has become my salvation. He is my God, and I will praise him. My father's God, and I will exalt him. The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and its army he has hurled into the sea. The best of Pharaoh's officers are drowned in the Red Sea. The deep waters, have covered them. They sink to the depths like a stone. Your right hand, Lord, was majestic in power. Your right hand, Lord, shattered the enemy. In the greatness of your majesty, you threw down those who swept you, who opposed you. You unleashed your burning anger and consumed them like stubble. By the blast of your nostrils, waters piled up. The surging waters stood up like a wall. The deep waters congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy boasted, "I will pursue. I will overtake them. I will divide the spoils. I will gorge myself on them. I will draw my sword, and my hand will destroy them." But you blew with your breath, and the sea covered them. They sink like lead in the mighty waters. Who among gods is like you, Lord? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in glory, working wonders? You stretch out your right hand, and the earth swallows your enemies. In your unfailing love, you will lead the people you have redeemed. In your strength, you will guide them to your holy dwelling. The nations will hear and tremble. Anguish will grip the people of Philistia. The chiefs of Edom will be terrified. The leaders of Moab will be seized with trembling. The people of Canaan will melt away. Terror and dread will fall on them. By the power of your arm, they will be still as stone until your people pass by, Lord. until the people you bought pass by. You will bring them in and plant them on the mountain of your inheritance, the place, Lord, you made for your dwelling. The sanctuary, Lord, your hands established. The Lord reigns forever and ever. Good song, good song. When Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and horsemen went into the sea, the Lord brought the waters of the sea back over them, but the Israelites walked through the sea on dry ground. Then Miriam and the prophet, Aaron's sister, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her, with timbrels and dancing. Miriam sang to them, "Sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted, both horse and driver, as he hurled into the sea." Then Moses led Israel from the Red Sea, and they went into the desert of Shur. Are you sure about that? For 3 days they traveled into the desert without finding water. Then they came to Marah. They could not drink its water because it was bitter. Well, you better stop that. That is why the place is called Marah. So the people grumbled against Moses, saying, What are we to drink?" Then Moses cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. He threw it into the water, and the water became fit to drink. There the Lord issued a ruling and instruction for them and put them to the test. He said, "If you listen carefully to the Lord your God and do what is right in His eyes, if you pay attention to His commands and keep all His decrees, I will not bring on you any of these diseases I brought on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you." And they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs and 70 palm trees, and they camped there near the water. Okay, we're gonna read 16 either tomorrow or next week for a new a new chapter. And we're gonna read from 16 to 19. It's right there. All right. I might see you guys tomorrow or next week for more. Anyways, God bless you guys. Have a good day.